So I heard the girls are locking in for the last 120 days. Okay. There's all this advice online about how you're going to maximize your productivity for the last 4 months. Okay. This is not a productivity channel. This is more of a mindset, how to increase your joy peace channel. But I think there's some things that I've seen people do. It's the same kind of advice that they give for the rest of the year. It's honestly the same. But there's a piece that I feel like is missing for how to implement that in your own life that I would like to touch on. While there are people who are talking about some really important things, I'm going to read some of the outline of what people are talking about for you to be focusing on, right? They're saying you should fix your sleep schedule, spend less time with people who don't add value to your life, prioritize your health, movement, and cutting out vices, sit down and assess financial goals, make an execution plan for career and projects, make a plan for your hobbies and goals, like do little things to romanticize your life. These are things people talk about all year. Another video is saying like focus on no more than 3 goals. Map out your 120 days with a calendar, use themes, right? Build a simple morning routine. Like, what does that even mean, right? I know what it means, but like these are such general advice points. Focus on your self-care and responsibility second. Like these, like some self-help books I think are really powerful and helpful, and some self-help books I think somebody just wrote words, right? They just said things that sounded pretty and fluffy. And a lot of these like motivational discipline sort of videos I think do the same thing. Like everybody's saying the same thing just in a different way, and I'm not sure it's really helpful because you just keep watching them. And have you seen the transformation in your life? If you have, wonderful. If you haven't, this video is for you, because I have some tips on some things that I want you to do differently when you're consuming this sort of content, or when you're trying to figure out like how do I stay motivated? Like how do I get to the discipline that I'm wanting in my life? My first thing is, one of the things that's stopping you from getting the results that you want, whether it's this last push for the year, which is, made up. I really don't think it's helpful to look at the end of the year as get everything done by the 31st. I think spring is the start of a new year, and that's when new goals should be implemented. I do think when we look at quarterly goals, it's very helpful, but also, right, this framework of ending the year on a blast and starting the new year with a bang and new goals, I do not think it's helpful. I do not think it's helpful. And I think that's part of why these things don't really work for most people. But you are trying to be perfectionistic. You're trying to do exactly what your favorite content creator has done. You're trying to follow their outline exactly, and it's not helpful for you, right? First of all, you are being too hard on yourself. You are giving in to self-doubt, because once you fall off or make a mistake or have to restart, you're beating yourself up about it, and that's not helpful. I would like you to be a little more flexible in the goals that you do choose to set, right? I'm not going to tell you which goals to choose. When I'm specifically talking to my women who are overcoming trauma, toxic relationships, wanting to increase their self-esteem, you maybe want to do all those things. I have much more detailed steps that I want you to take when you're doing those things, but I have no idea what kind of goals you want to reach. Your goal might be to lose weight. How much weight, girl? Is it 10 pounds? Is it 20 pounds? Is it 100 pounds? But the way we break those down are going to be very different depending upon what your goals are. So you are going to have to tailor all of this advice for yourself. That's another thing I think the girls are just not doing well when it comes to consuming social media content. Everything is not for you. Do you know that? Everything is not for you. Even if you find a person that aligns with most of your values or all of your values, which I'd be pretty impressed if you found somebody that did that. That there are people who live their lives differently than you, had different backgrounds than you. So there is absolutely no way. I don't think it's realistic to think that you can do exactly what someone else did and get the same results. You have different bodies, you have different backgrounds, you have different support systems. Different things are going to work for you. You can look at what they're saying as an inspiration. You can even pick a couple of those things out from what they're doing, but then you decide for yourself, do I need to work on my sleep schedule, or is my sleep pretty good? Do I need to simplify my morning routine, or is a complex morning routine something that works well for me? You have to check in with yourself. Just because somebody else is doing it doesn't mean you have to do it and that it's going to make your life better, because it might make your life worse. What if you like a slow morning, a simple morning routine? Great. But what if you like to do this, and this, up at 5 and doing this, and at 5:30, doing something different, and 6 o'clock? What if that really works for you? The next thing I have on my list is you trying to change too many things at one time. Similar to what I'm saying about starting the year at the wrong time of the year, like new year goals at the wrong time of the year. Like you have to really figure out, what is realistic for you in this period of time? Like what do you want to accomplish? And then you might not have a strong enough why. That's another point. Why are you wanting to change these things? What outcome do you think you're going to get? Huh? Is your why strong? The strongest whys, I think, are in service to people or in service to yourself, like actually benefiting you in the long term. Like someone saying that they want to lose 100 pounds, or 100 pounds is a lot of a weight to lose and will transform your life in a lot of ways. You also have to like work on the mindset part of like shedding that amount of weight and becoming a different person. That sounds like something that would be really good for you in the long term. But like, I once had a goal of being a psychologist. Now I am, right? But that was really about how can I get so good at this thing that I can help people transform their lives? How can I do that? Right? That got me through the hardest times, the most difficult speed bumps in my grad program. That I had this very strong why that wasn't just about me, wasn't just about aesthetics. Although aesthetics, I think, is a good enough reason to want to do something. Like if you say, I just want to lose these last 10 pounds so that I can fit into these favorite jeans or look this certain way, I think that's fine. It might not be a strong enough why for you to get that goal done. You might need to add a different why onto it, right? Like the version of me that I see in the future is this. And this person also has these other attributes or this lifestyle a part of them. Like you can make anything you want about aesthetics, but I would encourage you to dig a little deeper about what your why is and how it's going to benefit your life overall versus just look good. I talked a little bit about personalizing the advice that you get online, but I just want to take it a step further in talking about there are people online who are not like doing what they say they're doing in real life. It's important for me to know. It might not be important for you to know whether somebody is faking it or not. I like to know that I'm listening and reverberating with the truth when I'm watching something. So that's important for me. If it's not important for you, that's fine. I'm just saying that there are some people who are talking about waking up at 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, just ridiculous things. The internet goes on and on and on. Bathing with sour soda water, all those things. And what is most important, I think, is you deciding what works for you and your lifestyle and not being so caught up in how it's going to look for other people, like really taking the advice that people give and seeing if it applies to your life. Can you wake up at 5 o'clock? What if you're not a morning person? What if you work a night shift that ends at 12 a.m.? Doesn't that mean you would have to get up later? How much sleep do you actually need? I think these are important things to know before you just take someone's advice online. Even the lady who was talking about like set no more than 2 or 3 goals. What if you can handle more? Right? What if you're like downplaying yourself if you listen to some of the advice that people give? Everything does not work for everyone, right? And there are some things that might actually be harmful to you if you just blindly follow them because somebody else is doing it and it works for them. The next one that I think you all are doing a lot of is shaming yourself instead of using encouraging positive words to get yourself to do something. This is along the lines, it reminds me of like when people want someone to yell at them when they're like exercising. I think that kind of fuel runs out pretty quickly. I think what is much more sustainable is building a loving relationship with yourself, positive self talk, where you are like literally saying like positive, kind things to yourself to get yourself to do something that's worthwhile. I don't think it works out well in the long term if you are guilt tripping yourself about not going to that workout class, if you are shaming yourself or calling yourself names like, girl, why are you so mean to you? Why are you being mean to you? Like you should be the nicest person to yourself. And since you're with yourself all the time in your brain, I'm encouraging you to, as much as you can, as much as possible, as much as it's helpful, say kind things to yourself. Like, I'll get it next time. It's important for me to stick to my routine. What do I need to shift? I often tell my clients, like, if they don't do the homework that I assign after a session, that it's not you, right? The problem is not you. The problem is the homework. And so I would encourage you to do a similar thing in your life. If you're trying to say work out 5 days a week, I think that's too much. I think that's too much objectively, unless you like work out for a living. But if that's your goal, right, you could say that works for me, right? You taking this advice, you say, no, that works for me. If 5 days a week works for me, I just walk 30 minutes or I just do a whatever class that you say, if I cannot be consistent with this thing, that you look less at you as being like, oh my God, I can't handle this. That's not helpful, right? It might be true. but it's not helpful to frame things in that way. That you say, you know what? I hope that I can build up to 5 classes a week. But for now, I think what's most realistic for me and that I can do consistently so that you can also build your self confidence is 3 days a week. I can confidently do 3 days a week. It might be a challenge, but I can do it. Anything that starts to feel impossible is going to make you feel bad about yourself because you are having a hard time executing it. And one of the things that really builds self confidence is saying, I'm going to do it, and then you do it and you're like, oh my god, I did it. I like, you're so impressed with yourself, so proud of yourself. Those are the things that you want to reinforce in yourself. So you want to make goals that are challenging but not impossible to do so that you can feel good once you've done them. And then once you get the hang of right discipline, I do think people should start small, but you figure out what small looks like to you, right? I'm saying start small. This other lady is saying like pick no more than 3 different things. You have to figure out what works well in your life. You won't know that until you go out and do the trial and error of it. Like figure out what it is. Try it and see. If it doesn't work for you, go back to the drawing board, but do it in a loving way. You're talking to yourself kindly, kind of like you would talk to a puppy. Unless you don't like animals, then a child. Unless you don't like children, then I don't know, girl, what do you like? Whatever you like that you talk to in a positive way, talk to yourself in that way. And the last one on my list is that I'm not sure you all know how to create a system that works for you. I see a lot of people creating to-do lists, right? And I love a to-do list, but a to-do list is not really helpful for complex tasks that you want to get done, and systems are really the answer to that. I think I have another video on systems that I did earlier in the year, but it's really mapping out not just today or even this week, but what steps do I need to take to reach the certain goals. And it involves a lot of planning ahead to then figure out, are you on track to then execute it. These are more like SMART goals. I think, the acronym SMART, where you're actually measuring things out. That's more of a system of executing something versus just saying, today I'm going to eat 2,000 calories, like whatever it is. You have to really break things down in a way that will help you meet that goal. And you have to do that for all the goals. So say you have a goal of weight loss. The system involves food, but that's just like one thing. Food, whether it's food prep, whether it's food pickup, eating mindfully, knowing when you're full, like stopping eating. You understand? Like it's not just eat dinner, right? It's not just make chicken breast and rice and broccoli. It is so much more complicated than that. And now, if you're neuro divergent, this might be even harder for you. I don't specifically make neurodivergent content, and so I would encourage you to figure out who you can follow that specifically ties in neurodivergency. So because planning, that's the executive functioning stuff. That's a whole different system. You might have to have a whole different style of doing life if you are neurodivergent. But just a neurotypical person, not regular. We're all regular. I mean, everybody's trying to figure it out. Girl, I don't have it figured out. Do you understand? I'm trying to figure things out just like everybody else. I'm a little further along than a lot of people, but I'm still trying to work things out in my own life. But having to figure out like what the system is. Now, I really do like how this one lady was using a calendar to plan out what her goals are, what the steps are. That might be helpful for you. You might need a book that really tracks the steps that you're taking, that you know which time of the day, since we're just using the food, which time of day are you going to get your supplies, your groceries to go cook, or where are you getting food from? And then when you add in like workouts and all that stuff, that's a whole different thing. Like, how are you recovering? When is your next work? Like, it's just a lot of stuff. And that's why I think it's so hard for people to meet their goals, because they're not breaking things down into the little steps that they need to, because this thing that we think is so simple, lose weight. Oh yeah, losing weight is just less calories in than going out. So simple, but it's a very difficult thing to execute in real time. And you might need to find where you're having the most difficulty, because maybe you exercise pretty regularly, but maybe you need help with the food part, right? Maybe you have a lot of food noise. Like, I have a lot of food noise. Maybe you have a lot of food noise, and you need to figure out, like, how do I get myself to focus on other things? Or how do I get myself to eat less? Or how do I reduce the cravings, right? You might need to figure out different places that you can make changes, but you can apply this to anything. This can be your career. Like if you want to get a promotion, this can be money. If you want to save a certain amount of money, then you have to really break down things. What is getting in the way of you doing things? And what system can you create that's really going to work for you, right? Not you battling against the system to try to make things happen for you. You're going to need to have some built-in routine that's a part of your system. So let me know what you think in the comments. Good luck on your lock-in for the rest of the year. Just know all that stuff is made up. If you want to accomplish some things, I am rooting for you. Subscribe to my channel for more videos on improving your life. And thank you for watching.